What up, Coaching Collective? Welcome to call number 12. Today, we are going to go over stress mitigation. This one is going to be more of an open-ended presentation where I invite the wonderful people here to have conversations while we're going through it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, and then we will hop in. Oops. All right. So I had a couple people message me about where everybody's boxes are during the presentation and it like blocking out words that you can't see. Do you guys all see everybody at the top now? Or is everybody still on the side?
I think that you have to drag it yourself. Like you have to take like the little pit, like the little like frames and drag it up to the top.
I know I did that already. You guys are at the top of my screen.
Yeah, I think everyone has to do that individually.
Oh, you can do it yourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God, that makes so much more sense.
I always move mine to the top so I can see like what's on the screen.
Yeah, okay. Well, John was the one who told me that. So John probably just had his there and was like, damn it, Nick.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get into it.
The playback though.
What?
I think yours matters on the playback though, like for the people that are watching recorded.
Yeah, it does matter on the recording, correct. Okay, so let's dive in. Stress mitigation. So we're going to start with, what is stress? Stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. How many things in a human being's life in 2022 are going to cause them stress? Anyone? Everything.
I was literally just gonna say everything.
Everything stresses you out. Okay. Untreated stress, what stress does when we don't, and when it says untreated stress, like there's multiple interpretations of that. Like you can be like letting go of something. It can be taking a supplement. It can be like if you're sprinting from a tiger, giving yourself enough time away from it to calm down. Like treating stress is going to look different. Does that make sense? Chelsea, can you turn your computer down? The echo's throwing me off, all right? So untreated stress, what it's going to do is it's going to cause toxins to build up in your body and you're going to get sickness and disease. Guarantee the people who you see are the most stressed throughout their life are always sick because it's breaking down your immune system. There are 3 different types of stress. There's technically 4, but there's 3 types of stress: acute, episodic acute, and chronic. And we're going to dive into them right now. So the 3 types of stress, these are important to know, in my opinion, because they're the types of stress that's what this calls on, obviously. So acute stress disorder is an intense, unpleasant, and dysfunctional reaction beginning shortly after an overwhelming traumatic event and lasting less than a month. If symptoms persist longer than that, people are diagnosed as having post-traumatic stress disorder. So who can give me an example of acute stress? An intense, unpleasant, and dysfunctional reaction immediately after a traumatic event.
Car accident.
Car accident. You're shaking, you're trembling, right? That's acute stress. Now, if that happens for a month plus, we go, she has PTSD from that car accident. Does that make sense? Right? Cool. Episodic acute stress occurs when someone gets frequent bouts of acute stress. So like this kind of is like the same thing as PTSD. Like they're kind of saying the same thing here, in my opinion. People with this kind of stress will oftentimes take on more responsibilities and projects than they can handle. They may seem like they're constantly in a rush, always late, and are disorganized. What's a job that this can look like, or a profession, or anything like that?
Coaching,
entrepreneurship in general, right? Being your own boss is this is me to my core. You know what I mean? So chronic stress. Chronic stress occurs as a consistent sense of feeling pressured and overwhelmed over an elongated period of time. This is going to cause, like we talked about, toxins are building up and everything, aches and pains, insomnia, weakness. You're not going to be as social. You can't focus on things. So chronic stress, and I think we've had another call where we talked about chronically elevated cortisol and just the detriments of that, which we will get into that as well. So what's an example of chronic stress? What's something that can stress you out long-term?
Toxic relationship.
That's an amazing one. A toxic relationship. Could be the death of a loved one that you aren't allowing yourself to process. It could be a relationship you're not allowing yourself to process. It can be a job that you're getting in the same thing every day for an elongated period of time. And I think the most important thing that we talked about right there is allowing it to process. 99% of the time when your clients' bodies aren't responding and they're overly stressed out and they're super snappy and stuff, they have unprocessed trauma and unprocessed stress. So it's important for us to understand these types of stress, be able to identify them. And then, like, you're not a therapist. So if anybody's later down the road watches this and is like, how dare he? I'm not telling you to be a therapist to them, but I'm telling them if we as a coach can see that these people clearly have some untreated stress or unresolved traumas, we can at least help point them in the right direction. So the bonus stress is oxidative stress, which is defined as a disturbance in the balance between the production of reactive oxygen species, free radicals, and antioxidant defense, is discussed in relation to its possible role in the production of tissue damage in diabetes. So what is an example of oxidative stress? Free radicals. That should give it away pretty easily. Come on. What are we battling globally right now?
Illness.
Yeah, COVID's oxidative stress, right? A sickness, a disease. That's going to be like an internal stress. Doesn't mean oxidative stress. Okay. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's move on. How detrimental is stress on the body? So these necessarily aren't, especially the last one, but these necessarily aren't like ways that it's going to be detrimental. But over time, these will all become detrimental. But these are also signs as a coach that you can use to see if a client is overly stressed out. They have low energy. They're constantly getting headaches. Their gut is just not right, loose bowels, constipation. And they can be, I mean, I'm sure you guys have been to a point where you're nauseous and you're nauseous from being so stressed out, or like you don't have an appetite. You constantly have that rapid heart rate because anxiety is high and it's going to cause aches, pains. You're going to be super tense. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're constantly sick. There's no sex drive when stress is high in the body, right? None. The last thing that your body is thinking of is reproduction. Your body is thinking fight or flight. It is like, I don't give a shit about, there's no way we can have kids if we die right now, because your body, and we always have to remember this with clients, your body does not know the difference between stress. Your body is going to react to stress the exact fucking same, whether it's a breakup, a gun to your head, being chased by a grizzly bear, or, you know, anything else. Your body's response to your perception of stress is going to be the same. Does everybody understand that? That's really, really freaking important to grasp. When clients go through a breakup and they go, I'm not that stressed, like, dude, you're fucking stressed. Stress effects continued. Rapid, unexplained, well, it is explained, but rapid weight gain around like this, like the upper pec area, especially in women. I see this more in women. Like they're just like really puffy right here, the face and then the stomach. And there's a slide, I think, near the very end of this where we go over why the stomach. But their blood pressure is going to be high. And then you'll also see them get just a very round face. It's very round. It's very puffy. And they'll go, you know, oh, I did high blood pressure twice. Sorry. It's really important. High blood pressure is super important. They'll get anxiety, depressions, irritability, and then obviously the muscle weakness, because you also have to remember when you're stressed out and your heart's beating 24/7 and your blood pressure is high, you're using a lot of energy. You're exhausted. Then you pair that with not being able to sleep. Like it's very, very draining. So when you go to use any sort of like muscular activity, you are going to be very, very fatigued there. Let's talk about this motherfucker, cortisol. So I got kind of the goods and the bads here. Cortisol is a queen that needs to be respected because we need her, but we don't need her too much. So cortisol stimulates your fat and carbohydrate metabolism. It creates a surge of energy in your body. While the process is essential for survival situation, it also increases your appetite. Now, this is cortisol in itself. This isn't necessarily how you respond to stress. Is anybody in here a stress eater? Like when you're stressed, you eat? Anyone? Okay, who's an under eater when they're stressed? Dude, I'll eat one slice of pizza over the course of like 5 days if I'm stressed enough, you know? So when your appetite is up from cortisol, but activity doesn't increase, this is going to cause you a tendency to overeat calories without the equal energy expenditure, right? So if you usually burn 3,000 calories in your day, but now cortisol is high and you're eating 5,000 calories, we're in a 2,000 calorie surplus. And you go, I don't understand, or sorry, not you guys. You guys are great. But the client goes, I don't get why I'm gaining weight. I'm doing everything. I'm listening to my body. Everything. I can't tell you how many prep clients I have who maybe it's their first time or second time and they prep and then they go, I'm just going to be intuitive for a month or two. Okay. And then 2 months later, they're 30 pounds up and they're like, oh, I need to get back. I just want to diet and lose all this weight. I'm like, well, that's not really how that works, because cortisol is high. Their appetite is way higher than it actually needs to be. So the hunger cue signals are misread in the body. So cortisol can also help control blood sugar, reduce inflammation. It can actually stimulate your memory, which I didn't know. And it has a controlling effect on electrolyte balance. Water and salt doesn't really affect potassium as much, but it will affect water and salt more. And it also helps control your blood pressure. Cortisol is responsible for is crucial. What was I doing writing this thing? I'm sorry. It's crucial for body functions, but too much can wreck us. That's why the queen needs to be respected. Any questions on cortisol with what's written right here? Sweet. Now, this is again where I was telling you guys before the video started that I was going to make this a little bit more broad so that we can have conversations about it. So high cortisol, where is cortisol created? Majorly. Where's the majority of cortisol created in your body? I'll pick on someone. You're reading half of it right here at the top of this thing.
Your adrenal.
Adrenal glands?
Yes. Oh my God. Perfect. Yes. So cortisol is going to be dominantly produced in your adrenal glands. If the adrenal glands are constantly being in a position to overstimulate, we're going to have adrenal dysfunction, which means your body's not able. It's either producing too much or it burns itself out, which is where we get adrenal fatigue. But modern medicine and doctors don't want to say adrenal fatigue is real. It is. And something to note when you guys are looking at blood work for clients, there's a pretty broad range for cortisol to be normal, right? So if we have an individual and their cortisol marker is up here on their first test, and then the next test, it's all the way down here and it's dropped more than half and it's still in the normal range and doctors go, that's fine. Well, no, because there's a reason that cortisol is now half production. Does that make sense? Just because it's in normal range doesn't mean that there's not some fuck shit going on. All right. So adrenal dysfunction, what are the signs? Fatigue, body aches, unexplained weight loss, low blood pressure, lightheadedness, loss of hair, skin discoloration. Another slide here. If you have clients who like, oh, I hit snooze like 5-6 times. I can't get out. I feel like I'm dragging myself out of bed until I have my cup of coffee and then I'm good to go. That's a huge red flag that we have adrenal dysfunction, because they can't even get out of bed and function naturally without having some form of stimulation to get them up. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. Interesting enough, they're going to have cravings for saltier foods like always. I don't really know what the science is behind this, but everything that I've done like 4 books on adrenal fatigue. I don't know why I got so interested in it for a bit, but it all points back to them always having cravings for salty food. Yeah, Chelsea, go ahead.
I don't know exactly, but I'm wondering because it's coming from the adrenals, isn't like aldosterone also produced in the same area?
That's
So
a good
maybe
point.
could
That's a
have
good,
an interaction with aldosterone.
that's a really good point. That very well could be it. Gold star to Chelsea. So energy crashing in between meals. We got to remember food is fuel. So if your client eat breakfast and they're good to go, and 2 hours later they're absolutely tanked, and then they eat their next meal and they're good, like their adrenals are destroyed. Their memory is going to be affected. They're going to have insomnia and they're going to be super irritable and snappy because they're just literally fucking exhausted. Does anybody have any questions on these like adrenal fatigue symptoms or thoughts on them, or maybe a different, like, well, I have a client who does this? No? All right, perfect. Glad that we have this call with a lot of conversations like we talked about. So since you guys asked, how do we treat it? Just like anything, when it comes to stress. And like, this is my thing with stress. Stress is so multifactorial. Adrenal dysfunction is so multifactorial. Like, it's not going to be just do this. You gotta learn your client. You got to know their lifestyle. You got to know what they're doing, what they've been doing, everything. So a couple staples: you're going to reset the circadian rhythm. We've talked about circadian rhythms. You're going to pull, personally, I'm going to pull stimulants, right? And again, let's just look at it logically. I just had this conversation with a client check-in this morning, actually, is if you have a client who is getting up out of bed, barely getting up out of bed, and they have to have caffeine in order to get going, we want to remove that loop. We do not want that to be the reliance of that system. We want to try to get systems back online with that out of there. Does that make sense? Feedback loops. We want it gone. Okay. So we're going to reduce training, quality food sources, which is obvious. But if you're, and I think I wrote this twice. I know Chelsea was making fun of me because I wrote pull stimulants twice on the other slide next, and I forgot. So I'm sorry. But quality food sources, because if you're eating processed sugars, junk, all of these things that really aren't helping you whatsoever, this will further adrenal dysfunction. And a really interesting treatment or supplement protocol you can do if you have somebody who has dysfunction is you're going to pair vitamin C as absorbic acid with a bioflavonoid, and you're going to do a 1-to-2 ratio with this. So what this looks like is, if you do 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, you're going to do 500 milligrams of a bioflavonoid. And what you do with these clients is every hour on the hour, you bump everything up one dose. So it'll go 2,000 and 1,000, or wait, I think it's 500 and 250 actually. To what I started at. I think it's 500 and 250. So sorry for speaking. It's literally the same thing, but 500 and 250. So then you bump up to 1,000 and 500, and then you would bump up to 1,500 and 750. Does that make sense? So what you do with this protocol is you're increasing it every hour on the hour until you get to a level where your client's stool is a little bit runny. I know that's gross, but that tells us we've kind of reached that threshold. And the more fatigued their adrenal glands, the higher this dosage is going to get. I've had people get up to 19,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And then wherever the bioflavonoid stands. Once we get to that point where their stool is runny, we're just going to back down one dosage. And then that's usually the dosage that we can pin them at for, say, 4 to 8 weeks to allow to help the adrenals restore their function. Now, something else you can pair with this is vitamin E at 800 mgs a day, which is super effective. But this one takes about, like, you're going to have to run this for like 4 months to really see some benefits start to kick in, which is fine. This is a lifestyle tap here, but the vitamin C as absorbic acid is important, but the vitamin C and the bioflavonoids is one that I've used for a multitude of clients, and it has a lot of merit to it. How do we treat it? Continued. So an anti-inflammatory diet. We talked about this on a more recent call where, if we're pulling training, we're pulling carbs down, because we don't need them, and we're increasing fats so that we can do anti-inflammatory fat sources. I'm not saying dairy and gluten are bad, but I'm always going to pull things that are more potential to cause inflammatory responses in the system when we're trying to recover systems. It just makes sense. Does anybody agree or disagree? Conversations, we can have them. Okay. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, just a very micronutrient dense diet. All the vitamin profiles that are in fruits and veggies are going to be super, super important. And if you guys go, there's a book. I mean, you guys have all heard of the Cortisol Connection, but they have a Cortisol Connection diet book, and it has a ton of awesome information in there. You guys pick it up on Amazon. It's like this thick. It's really not that big, but it's like $10, and it's definitely worth the read. And then avoiding processed sugars and trans fat. So that's the whole like dietary thing there. Does anybody have questions on this part? Chelsea, hit it.
It's a question, if it'd be helpful, just, I know some people when they literally can't pull themselves out of bed. I also pull stimulants, and I think that's important, but would there be any merit, I guess, of adding some nootropics or like a glandular as opposed to like vitamin C and whatnot?
Well, so the vitamin C and bioflavonoid I use to help the adrenals restore themselves, not necessarily for them to have energy, but dude, nootropics actually an incredible idea. I didn't even think about that. These are why conversations are awesome, guys. That's actually not a bad gig. Throw in some like 1,000 mg or a milligram of lion's mane in for when they wake up. That's not a bad idea. I'm gonna have to look more into that, Chelsea. You just really sparked my interest. Good
Maybe
job.
a call on nootropics. I don't know a lot about them, but I'm just looking into them a little bit more.
Yeah, there's actually I have it on my phone right now. If you guys want to write this down, dude, when I tell you the freaking nootropic stack of your life to feel freaking incredible, you're going to do ashwagandha, KSM 66. You're going to do 450 mgs of bacopa extract. That's BACOPA extract. 500 mgs of lion's mane, and then 500 milligrams of rhodiola. Dude, you want to talk about feeling like a freaking superhuman? Holy crap. It is such an awesome nootropic stack. So there's a fun little nugget for you guys right there.
That one more time. I can't type that fast.
Yes. So ashwagandha.
Okay.
Bacopa extract, BACOPA. That's attention span and memory formation.
Okay.
Lion's mane, 500 mgs, which I don't know if you guys know this about lion's mane, but lion's mane's actually been proven to produce neurogenesis in your brain. So it actually regrows neurons in your brain. So there's a lot of not arguments, but there's a lot of data showing that this could potentially be a complete reversal, not a reversal, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like a preventative to Alzheimer's. It's pretty cool. And then the last one is rhodiola, RHODIOLA, rosea extract. I do 500 mgs there. That's like cognitive activity and longevity and like stress tolerance. It's awesome. It's awesome. So any other questions on this? Cool. Let's move on. So other variables, if cortisol or stress gets too high, training needs to pull way back. And I know so many people and so many clients get so upset when you got to pull them out of the gym. But when systems are shot, dude. And actually, Lauren's a great example of this. She's been prepping and putting her body through the ringer, and we weren't getting a period, and things were kind of a little off. And I pulled her out of the gym for 1 week. She got a period. Great job, Lauren. You're the best. Good job. So training's pulled way back. Stimulants are pulled way back. We talked about that. And then this one's kind of like my own thing that I've done, and it works. I don't care what anybody says. So if I have clients who are uber stressed out, I'm going to have them listen to binaural beats in the morning and before bed. And then like, if they can do it midday, I'm going to have them do that too. So binaural beats in the theta 4 to 8 hertz range, they're linked to REM sleep, reducing anxiety, relaxation, and meditative and creative states. Binaural beats in the alpha frequencies 8 to 13 are thought to encourage relaxation, promote positivity, and decrease anxiety. So whether we choose to like see it and believe it or not, human beings and bodies, we are nothing but frequencies and energies. Nothing but frequency and energies. And I think that stress mitigation does, this is my own personal opinion and approach, I think stress mitigation does have to have some form of a spiritual approach to it. I think that that has always worked the best, like really getting clients into breath work and meditation work and things like that, allowing them to be able to center themselves and pull themselves out of stressful environments and like into themselves to just reset for a second. So important. So kind of we'll go on that here. Lifestyle changes. It has to stick. The changes that they're doing when they're higher stress, higher adrenal, higher cortisol, adrenal dysfunction, it needs to be a lifestyle change. It's not something you can just fix and then go right back to what you were doing, right? Because then you're just going to feedback loop it. So it needs to be a lifestyle change. They need to remove themselves from toxic and stressful environments. They need to reduce screen time and social media because, dude, I can't tell you how many people get overly stressed out with social media. It's like actually ridiculous. More sunlight and more movement outside. People so undervalue how much 10,000 steps a day outside, not on your phone in the sun with breath work can change everything about your physiology. People do not pay enough attention to that type of stuff. We sit inside all day. We don't get outside. We don't get fresh air. We don't move. Like there are so many things you can do to eliminate stress that we just don't do anymore. So it's really important to put that lifestyle in there. Deep diaphragmatic breath work, 15 to 20 minutes a day. So teaching your clients to breathe in through their nose and into their bellies until their bellies are completely full. And then when you breathe out, everybody can try this right now. If you take a big breath in through your nose into your belly, and then when you let out the air through your mouth, you take your time, you breathe out slow, you actually take control of your entire nervous system. So by having them go through those breath repetitions, you can actually calm down a nervous system just by controlling that outwards breath. And then again, a lot of people don't pay enough attention to. Breathing is so freaking important. There's an amazing book called Breathe. I don't remember who the author is, but he actually like has proven through like just, I don't remember, I read it so long ago, but basically like people who breathe through their mouths are like more stressed. Yeah. What? Oh, somebody saying something. So people who you're supposed to breathe through your nose, and there's like different skeletal structures that happen when people breathe through their mouths from when they were born to now. Like they literally like look different. They like have different changes in posture and like they handle stress differently. Dude, breathing is so crazy. You guys should check the book out. I think if you just put Breathe book into Amazon, you would probably find it. But meditation, and I like to pair the meditation with the deep diaphragmatic breath work because you can kill two birds with one stone, really allow them to de-stress. Now, the number one most important one is finding their core stressors and just start removing them. And this can look like literally anything. So practice that I'll do with my athletes if they're super, super stressed is I'll have them draw a line down the piece of paper like this. And we'll call energy drainers and energy enhancers. And I tell them, I want you to take this notebook with you all week. The second you find yourself doing something that's draining your energy, no matter what it is, write it down. The second you do something that makes you feel good, okay, write it down. So then by the time they come back that next week, we've got 15 to 20 energy suckers and energy enhancers. And sometimes you have a ton of energy drainers and barely any energy enhancers, right? So you really get to see in their life what's going on. And then what I'll do from there is I will have them number their top 5. What are your top 5 energy drainers? What are your top 5 energy enhancers? This is super simple because they do it all for you. And then we go, okay, we're going to remove those 5 top energy drainers the best we can. And we're going to do more of the top 5 energy enhancers. They just made a whole map for you. And If we can't knock off all top 5 energy drainers, we could probably knock off 2. We could probably knock off 3. Our goal is just to lower the stress as much as possible and give them more time doing things that make them feel better, because that's going to help with the whole function of the systems as well. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that? Cool. Let's move on. Supplement approaches, high cortisol, adrenals, etc. Again, it's like multifactorial. Like I could have listed so many other supplements here, but I was like, let's just keep it simple. Cordy's from New Ethics, I'm a huge advocate of. Ashwagandha, KSM 66. I will say there's a lot of like versions of ashwagandha that are not KSM 66. So just make sure it is KSM 66 if you want it to be effective. Fish oil is so important for inflammation. Let me pose for Brooke's picture. Fish oil is super important for anti-inflammatory response. And what the most important thing we're looking for in a fish oil is the EPA and DHA combined dosage for the day. So a lot of people, they'll just buy a random fish oil and say, I'm taking fish oil. No, use it on your fish oil. It'll say like 500 EPA and 750 DHEA. So that'd be 1.25 grams, right? We want 2 to 2.5. So I tell my clients, take 2 servings. Does that make sense? Cool. Pre and probiotics, healthy gut, lower inflammation, lower stress. Maca is a great one for stress. Increasing your water intake is so undervalued for stress, dude. So undervalued for stress. And then dark chocolate, fun. It's got flavonoids in it and it buffers stress activity in the adrenal glands. So dark chocolate can fix adrenal, but it can't fix them, but we would love to think that, right? Oh, wait a minute. I did. I messed this up. Sorry. So, oh my goodness, it's ruined. I was doing so good today too. So just one noteworthy thing to talk about is 11-HSD enzyme. I think this is just a fascinating enzyme, and what it does, to the best of my knowledge, and I really haven't like read up on it in a long time to know exactly how to say this, but HSD enzyme, it's active in your stomach fat, in your visceral fat tissue. And what it does is it essentially like shows the fat cells in the stomach that there's stress happening. Even if there isn't any, it like convinces them, like it manipulates them. It's like, you're stressed. And then the cells start to reproduce. And this is why like we can see individuals gaining abdominal fat solely in their midsection without eating in a surplus or anything like that. If they have HSD enzyme activity, then they're going to be putting on, I'm sure you guys have seen this. People go, I diet, or you guys with beer guts, things like that. Like if they're purely putting on stomach fat, usually this is a sign that HSD enzyme is active. And black licorice root is a supplement that can be used to reduce HSD activity, which is a cool little nugget. It's a cool little nugget. So with that, open-ended questions, conversations about stress management, let me know. I'm going to show you guys some labs though. Does anybody have any questions right now while we're on this? Cool. Let's go to some labs. So we are, hang on. We're going to go over these labs. So these are labs number 1 from this athlete, Mariana's labs. Let's talk about it. So Mariana was prepping, and near the tail end of the prep, stress was high. A lot of things were off. These are her first initial labs. Okay. So I just want to get to the main ones. Cholesterol was high. The doctors were just terrible at writing on this stuff and messed everything up. But you can see right here that, can you guys see my mouse or no? You can? Okay, cool. You can see kidney and liver stress is super high. MCH is high. I don't even know how to pronounce this one, but they're high. Infections, irons all over the place, like full. Literally, is a fucking train wreck, to put it lightly. It's an absolute train wreck. And if we come down here, FSH and LH are tanked, progesterone's tanked, estrogen's tanked, cortisol's at 25.6. That is so damn high. I think that's it. Vitamin D was pretty low. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. So what we did with Mariana is we pulled her out of the gym completely for what? 4 weeks? You're gonna need your mic on for this. I'm gonna be asking you questions.
Yeah, it was 4 weeks. 4 weeks, and then the last week or two we've been training light to moderate 2 times a week.
And protocol wise that we put in place, can you want to just say your whole protocol real quick? I don't want to go to my email and pull it up because I have a lot of other emails that are unanswered and I want to respect other people's privacy.
Okay, so I'm doing Cordy's and ashwagandha, two pills 3 times a day, so 6 a day.
So we're doing Cordy's 3
Cordy's.
different times, and we're pairing that with the ashwagandha.
With
So
ashwagandha.
we're doing 125 mgs of ashwagandha with each of those servings, 3 times a day.
And then twice a day, I am on the Progon,
Which is bioidentical progesterone.
Then Thyro Boost, as I was doing before, 2 pills a day. So once in the morning, once at night with meals. Let me see. You pulled Estracort. I
pulled her Estracort, you guys, because her estrogen was so low. No point.
Yeah.
We were on prep. On prep, I'll put Estracort in, pull it down, get a little leaner, get a little drier.
Yeah. Let me see what. Man, I want to open up my tab.
We were supposed to be on Metapure, but she never got it. Which
package lost. I don't know. Blame the postal service.
I think that's it, and that kind of makes you want to go. So now we're going to the new.
Chaseberry, also Chaseberry.
Yeah, so we're on Chaseberry as well. So now her thyroid was also a mess, but now we can see the TSH is in great range here. Her thyroid's great. We look at the entire panel here. All of this is in check. Blood glucose is not incredible, but it's solid. Everything in the liver and kidneys is completely back to normal. All the things off, we're back to normal. Cholesterol is still a little higher range, but like, dude, I'll take it with everything else that was that train wreck before. LH and FSH are back online. So testosterone is still low. And then if we go here, DHEA is kind of lower range, but look at cortisol. Still a little high, but man, what a freaking difference. From basically a 27 down to a 16. Estradiol still pretty low, and then progesterone is still low. So there's definitely still some work that needs to be done here for her. Ferritin's still high. So there's some sort of iron. What's the word I'm looking for? Surplus, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it. Go ahead, Chelsea. Help me out. Put the word in my mouth.
I think both. So her cortisol definitely has come down, but I know that ferritin and cholesterol can be high in stressed out states. So they've actually seen, like, even in like anorexia, that they have high cholesterol. Potential multiple reasons, but one of the ones is that the fact that their body is stressed AF. It's just interesting. So that probably, I would assume, that would come down as she continues to get less and less stressed.
Yep. 100%.
To be fair, also high cholesterol runs in my family. So I think I've kind of always had a higher range of high cholesterol.
Maybe stress runs in your family.
Maybe, baby.
Ooh, bars. So moving forward with where she's currently at, we're just going to basically keep doing what we're doing. She's training a little bit more now, but I think we're at 3 days a week.
2
days a week. She's training nowhere near.
I know.
She's training, nowhere near failure, keeping it light, keeping it simulated. It's not fun, but it's necessary. We saw how much her labs improved in 4 weeks, dude. Those types of improvements for people not just, fully committing to protocols and stuff, it takes months, you know what I mean, to get to things like that. So it's not fun when clients have to do these protocols, but it's so freaking necessary to get things solid. Since the testosterone wasn't really that high, her free test was super low. I'm going to assume and possibly hypothesize it's a methylation issue, which the Metapure will help us fix. So we didn't have that. So she's getting it now, and we'll throw that in. And probably, she hasn't even heard me assess her labs yet, because I just got them in the email and I sent her a memo and I'm like, I'm going over these in the coaching collective call. But more than likely, she's still going to have to take it easy training for like 3-4 weeks as we add in the additional supplementation to make sure things are good. But that is, I mean, you guys see the difference in those labs, right? With just pulling back stressors and putting some supplements in, making some lifestyle changes. And a big one, this is like another like kind of like spiritual thing of this, but like, you don't understand how much stress people have when they are also, like, you'll see this with a lot of clients. Like negative self-talk is such a huge stressor for people, like unreal. So no, we're not therapists, but we can still help our athletes change their own narrative about themselves in that way. And like, dude, when you can re-allow somebody or like help somebody like re-love themselves, literally, you would be so fucking surprised how fast their body starts changing. Like, it is all very, very real. So that's something to think about as well when you're going through these things. But that is pretty much the rundown. Do you guys have any questions, comments, or scenarios you want to go over? You guys are the worst. All right, cool. Then we will, oh, go ahead, Chelsea. Tell us, you're saving the day. You really are.
Sorry. I have just a really random question, but you said you pulled Estricort to help dry her out. Can you mention why?
No. I said during prep, I'll add it to help get
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. No, that
I
was
just wanted to know if there was anything there.
Oh, yeah. So I think I talked about this in another coaching collective call, but you can do Estricort or you can do Nolvadex, either one. Nolvadex is a little more aggressive. If you don't want to go that route, you can use Estricort. But if I do use Nolvadex in a prep to lower estrogen, I'll usually have Estricort in when I pull the Nolvadex, so estrogen doesn't just shoot back up, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to end the recording.